Hi, I'm author Lucy McConnell.
And I'm author Erica Penrod.
And I'm your host, Shaylee Dymock. This is Angels Unscripted, where we talk all things angels. Did you know you have angels all around you? Join us as we talk books, friendship, romance, family, and more to discover the unscripted angels in your life. Hi, and welcome back. This is episode 2 of Angels Unscripted. Of course, I'm here with authors Lucy McConnell and Erica Penrod. And today we are talking about all things angels and friendship. That is our topic today. And that is what Angel Institute Book 2 is all about. We'll be talking about strong connections, angels in training, and your angel stories. Let's start off with introducing Book 2, Ren, which... if you're watching on YouTube, Lucy just showed us all the cover. Very cute. Lucy decided to match it today.
I know. I don't know how that worked. I was like in the zone of Ren.
Yes. So Ren is written by author Erica Penrod.
Yes, this one's mine.
And let's just start out with that. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, Ren and Sadie have been lifelong friends. And Ren has not decided maybe, because does your heart ever ask you what it wants? No. It just does it. Ren feels like his friendship is not enough with Sadie. He wants more, but he is scared to take that chance because his friendship means so much. Their friendship means so much to him that he doesn't want to risk losing her. Like, he would rather stay in the friend zone if it means losing her. So that's the big issue for Ren.
That's a tough situation. And, I mean, let's analyze Ethan.
Ethan. Okay, so Ethan is the new bookstore owner who moves into Benton Falls.
I'm already in love with Ethan.
I know. So he, you have to have that third person sometimes that just throws a little wrench. Or actually for Ren, it kind of helps having Ethan because kind of spurs him on.
Yeah.
Where he was just kind of hanging back, waiting to see what would happen. When Ethan comes and Ethan shows an interest in Sadie. Sadie is the town librarian, so she's a fun character. She's super cute, outgoing, runs the library, everyone loves her. So when Ethan moves to Benton Falls and he is opening a bookstore, they have so much in common.
Of course.
Already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
right
Ren,
out of the gate.
Yeah, and Ren is a police officer, so he's a great guy, does all the good things, but that connection between Ethan and Sadie scares him.
Yeah.
And so in a good way, because it propels him forward.
Right.
Yeah.
You need a catalyst sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ethan's a good guy. Ethan is just there to kind of start his own life, and I don't want to say what happens, but we'll see more of Ethan later.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Right. And
like I said, I'm already in love with him. So
right. Bookstore owner.
Unlimited supply of books. I'm sorry. Here's my hand. You can put a ring on it.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone to organize your bookshelves.
Oh, I didn't think about that one. I was just thinking about the opportunity to
Alphabetical order.
By color, shape, size, genre. I mean, he knows it all.
That's awesome. And I wanted to bring him in there because I know, Ren and Sadie are the main characters, but he's kind of...
Yeah.
Sounds like he's really important. I mean, I haven't read the book, but sounds like he's a charmer for sure.
Yep, he's a good guy.
So, and I know we talked a little bit how his presence affected Ren and Sadie, so we'll just have to read the book.
Yeah.
It sounds like we don't want to tease too much into that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this cute little town, Benton Falls. We talked about it a little bit in the last episode. It's like a cute Christmas town.
Yes.
The vibes are very Christmas spirit. So, how does that play into Ren?
Oh, well, let's see.
That was not where I was expecting the question to go.
I know.
I was going to be like, tell us how you came up with
Benton Falls. That's
we talked about that in the last podcast.
Did we talk about it?
You world built, right? You built Benton Falls from the ground up.
Yes. But it's based on
2 different towns put together.
Well, why don't we go into that then?
Okay.
Let's start with that first.
Right. Yep. So, what year was it? I know. We
don't know.
we did a writer's retreat / planning a new series, Escape with 6 authors. And we went to, of all places, Arkansas. And because there's this really cute town there called Eureka Springs. But outside of Eureka Springs is the town where Walmart was founded. And they have this really cute old-time square in the middle of their town. And like the original drugstore, Walmart drugstore is on the corner, and it's a museum.
So cool.
And that's where the museum is. Yeah.
It's random that the Walmart
so
museum
awesome.
is so good.
Yes,
But
it is so cool. Yes, it was
like
so
if you
good.
have a chance, if you're there, don't be like, oh, it's just the Walmart museum. No, it's really good. Like there's some good stuff in there. So anyway, that's where the town square idea / vision came from.
Yeah.
And then of course we had this town that in It's a Wonderful Life, which is based on Seneca Falls in New York. And they have, the bridge and the pond where the kids play and all of this other stuff. And so it was kind of this mashup of those two places that became Benton Falls. So that's why it's called
awesome.
Benton Falls, is because of that. So,
And it was also easier because both of us had been to Bentonville. And then when obviously seeing the movie, so we were able to visualize it. Like I knew she was seeing the same town square I was seeing in my mind. When you're world building, especially with someone else, it's great if you're both seeing have the same idea.
I'm like, we should have brought your map.
Yes,
like we ended up drawing this map in her notebook that is like hand drawn, and we have all these scribbles on it and stuff. But it's beautiful because it works totally for us. We know exactly where we are.
Like where would you like the church at? Oh, the church is here.
Church is here, and and I don't even remember on the town square if they had a church on the town square, but we do.
I don't remember.
So,
Yeah, so that's
awesome.
That just helps that we both have been there and
experienced
when we can see, we get the vision of what we're both talking about. So that helps a lot. So what was your original question?
Did you want us to answer something else?
No, it's good. It's good that we got more in depth about Benton Falls, and it sounds like a cute town. And when you're reading a book and the setting is just so magical and such good Christmas spirit, and there's like a square where everyone gathers. Like I can already envision it in my head,
Okay, but I have to tell you, we couldn't put it in Arkansas because we did research, and at Christmas time they don't have snow.
Right.
And so their town square doesn't have snow, and we were like, oh, we can't leave this in Arkansas. So we had to move it to another state. But because what's a Christmas story without snow in it?
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of one of those must-haves. So anyway, so it's not actually in Arkansas.
Where is it at? Which state?
I'm like, do we remember
really
what state?
we didn't
no,
decide.
New York. We moved it to upper New York is where we moved it.
Oh, that's fun. They do get a lot of snow.
Seneca Falls, New York is actually in that area too. So it worked out really well.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And so my original question,
What was
ties right into this.
Yes.
How does Benton Falls play into your story?
Okay, so of course it gives you the backdrop for all of the cute holiday ice skating, like you said, town square.
Yeah.
There's tons of things going on. And you see this cute little town square with all of the shops where the library is. And so it just makes it so fun to put your characters in those places. And Ren is a cop. So he, of course, the town plays a huge part of his life. And then I love it because it really involves the community, and with a small town like Benton Falls, we get to just make it be the picture perfect Christmas town.
Right.
And
that's so sweet.
It just allows Ren and Sadie to have all of those moments, and they are members of the community, like they're invested in Benton
because she's
Falls.
the librarian, so she is a community person.
They both are.
And he's a community person.
So it plays a big role in their story.
She's like, I will help little readers grow up to be good citizens.
Yes.
And he's like, and if they're not, I'll arrest them.
Oh, that's sweet. So it just ties in.
Yeah.
And did either of them grow up there, or did they both decide to move there later?
No, they both grew up there.
Okay. And that's sweet.
I'm almost 100% sure.
You'll have to read the book to find out. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Arthur. He's our angel.
Oh,
Arthur.
Arthur. Okay, side note on Arthur.
Sad side note on Arthur.
This part was hard for me. So, Ren is
Final draft stage.
Yes.
Is when...
Ren is the first book that I have written in this series. And my angel in Ren was originally named Reuben. Arthur was Reuben.
R-U-B-E-N.
Yes.
R-E-N.
I can see why that is an issue.
Oh,
I
so
can
it
really
was
see that.
All the way through, he's been Reuben. I love Reuben. I see him in my mind. I know who he is. We get to the final stages of editing, ready to format.
Yeah.
And
I think I was reading back cover copy, and I'm like, oh no.
No.
Reuben and Ren, yeah.
Because they were so close. I had to
Yeah.
go back and reread, and it was tripping me up. And I'm like, I'm
Just seeing the two
sorry.
names with R and then
Well, but same letters, the N.
Yeah.
Oh, so your
And
brain
so-
can't skim.
Yes.
When you read, your eyes skim the top of the letters, and usually when it comes to a name, especially in a book, you know that the R would represent Reuben
Right.
or Ren, whichever one you are introduced to first. So the next time you read them, your brain is automatically going to say this is Reuben until you realize it doesn't, and then you have to go back. So it
Right.
trips you up as a reader, which is why in almost every book you'll notice that none of the characters start with the same letter. Like, it's the thing that we as authors do to help you read faster. So
Yeah.
we switch them up so that they start with different letters, because that's how your brain recognizes them when you read.
Exactly.
As you
A little
said
bit
that,
of science for
I
y'all
think-
there.
I think now that you say that, though, I think I did at some point go through with my books and give the two main characters like the same
one.
starting
Ooh.
letter.
Yeah.
Like, so they like made a couple,
Oh,
like Jack and Jade or something, something
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
But yeah. But no, anyway, back to Reuben,
Arthur.
So I had to change his name. And that was really hard for me.
Of course, you get so attached.
Yeah. So, and I love Arthur. Like, it's like starting to sink in, but I spent so much time calling him Reuben that it's been a little bit of an adjustment for me. So, yeah, I am working on that. So Arthur is
Let's
the
talk
angel
about
in
Arthur.
Ren.
Yeah, let's talk about
What would
Arthur.
you like to know about Arthur?
Yeah, so how does Arthur's perspective on Ren and Sadie, how does that change as he goes from an angel to training to possibly earning his wings?
Okay, so when Arthur lived on Earth, he was one of those people who preferred plants to people. He loved to garden. So that was his thing. Like, he really enjoyed growing a garden and nurturing plants, and that's what he does in heaven. That's his heavenly job.
Oh,
so he's
that's
one of the
awesome.
lucky angels that gets to
That gets
actually
the job he
do
likes.
that he loves.
He loves
And so
that.
part of his reasoning for becoming a guardian angel is because there is a certain garden in heaven that you cannot get into unless you are a guardian angel, unless
you
you've
have wings.
moved up that next level.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that is why Arthur wants to be a guardian angel, because he really doesn't love being around people.
Yeah.
So it's
Like,
not
I could just spend all day in the garden, just
and
move
so
me
it's
up.
funny that this is his job, because
Was he the guy that yelled at people, "Stay off my lawn"?
yeah, probably. Yeah. So he doesn't love people. He prefers plants. So for him to be assigned to these two friends that really do truly love each other, that was what was so fun about Arthur's journey, is watching him come back to Earth, supposed to help Ren understand that friendship can mean more than just being friends.
Yeah.
But being in love also means friendship, and that it's worth the risk, when that's not something that Arthur really knows much about. So
Right.
he develops along the way through this story.
That's so neat.
And so, yeah, that's where we
amazing
see
to see.
his transformation, is from when he gets to Earth, and then just his friendship with Ren and Sadie has a huge impact on his life. And that's what was fun about him.
Yeah, that is fun. Because I know in book 1, the angel didn't necessarily like her heavenly job, but
Yeah.
she liked helping people. And so
Yeah.
it's very different.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the story is told in Arthur's perspective. Is that right?
And Ren's.
Yeah.
So
Arthur's and
it's the POV switches. Yes. So it's
Okay.
Ren and Arthur. Yeah.
And that's good to know. And, I mean, what does Arthur think of Benton Falls? I know he's a gardener, and it's like
yeah, I'm like,
snowing.
I'm sorry,
like,
I'm
no
thinking about that
plan.
for a minute. So it's funny because the first time he shows up, it's at the library. So yeah, so it's like a garden of books, but it's not his things.
Right.
So yeah, he just doesn't know.
Does he not know that books are alive?
Yeah.
And that there's things in there that talk to you, like people in there that talk to you.
So I guess like the more that we talk about this, the more that I realize so much of this is about Arthur's journey as well.
Right.
And yeah, so he doesn't necessarily feel comfortable or feel adequate. Like he doesn't feel like he's qualified to do this job.
Yeah.
So, which I think most people can relate to.
Right.
If you're put in a position that you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Right.
I don't
Swinging
feel qualified.
it.
Oh,
Winging it.
kind of like this situation.
Yeah.
Like we're, like
Exactly.
you're trying something new, and anyway, so yeah, I think that's how Arthur feels. Is he's just not comfortable in any way being there.
Yeah. Which, I mean, as much as sometimes you really don't want to be put out of your comfort zone.
Right.
But it's very important in growth. And, that's why I think Arthur grows so much, is that he's doing something way out of his comfort zone. He doesn't know if he's going to succeed or not, but he really wants to get to that garden.
Right.
And I mean, in order to grow and get there, you have to feel uncomfortable.
Well, and one thing I think too is that I've noticed over the years, either I can put myself in an uncomfortable place and try and grow, or God will put me in a place to make me grow.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'd much rather choose my own growth. Like,
Exactly.
I would much rather be striving on my own than be like in a situation where I have to, kind of a thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't you think that is where it's kind of interesting, because each angel gets an assignment,
Yeah.
and that assignment is like for that angel.
yes.
It puts them in a situation that allows them to grow.
Yeah.
Although I do in the future have an angel that, like you said, like it was kind of like their heavenly job wasn't their favorite, and then their earthly job was something that they were good at.
Yeah.
But even though it is something that this particular angel is good at, there's still so much growth.
There's still-
so
yeah.
the assignment is
What is
for
that
the angel.
quote? You don't have to be sick to get better.
Yes.
You can always get better. And so, you don't have to wait
That's a
until
good
you're not good at
perspective.
something to get better at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And, with those little trials and building yourself up and things, your angels are there to help you as
Yes.
well.
Your friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what this book is about, is friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, I mean, let's talk about Ethan a little bit. Has Arthur met Ethan, and what does he think
Okay.
about Ethan?
When Arthur gets there, he only is aware of Ren and Sadie. So
Okay.
when Ethan moves in, this is news to Arthur as well. And so
Yeah.
he can see what's going on. He sees the spark in Ethan's eye when he sees Sadie. So he's like, okay, this is going to be something. And so then he starts to worry that maybe Sadie will like him back. And, anyway, so yeah, he doesn't know Ethan. He gets to know Ethan with Ren and Sadie and with the reader.
Okay.
And so, but the funny part of it is, not the funny part, but Ethan is a good guy.
Yeah.
You kind of are tempted to write a character that maybe like, oh, obviously don't
It's
choose
an obvious
him.
choice
Don't
to
Right.
choose him.
Yeah.
That maybe he's, cool and classy on the outside, but underneath he's not such a great guy. But that's not Ethan.
Right.
And Arthur also recognizes that really quickly too.
And that
So,
makes it hard.
yes.
You don't
Yeah.
know where it's
yeah,
going to go.
and for Ren.
Yeah.
Ren can't hate him.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah. So it's just fun. Yeah, I love this story.
Yeah, and that's really fun that, Arthur can get to meet Ethan as well. And it sounds like he's kind of just in a little bit of everyone's life.
Yes.
Every character's life in this story.
Well, and I like how there's the element of free will in that in our stories, angels cannot mess with free will. You cannot force anybody to do anything. You can't. There's none of that happening. And it's a law of heaven is what.
Right.
So the fact that Ethan moves there and he is interested in her and all of those things, that's his free will and his, chance to choose. And we don't mess with that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes
Exactly.
there's things that happen in life that you can't predict happening because somebody else's free will comes into play and you can't control it and you can't change it. And so you've got to learn how to, work through those circumstances. So I love that element that comes into play in this story.
Yeah, and that's challenging for Arthur because he knows that.
Well, other people's free will is challenging for us all the time.
That's easier said than done.
We all struggle with everybody having free will.
I always say,
darn it, they get to make their own choices.
Free will is great until it applies to my children.
Yeah, right?
Like, I'm like, no, I'll tell you what to do.
Right. Mother knows best.
But in heavens, that's not how it works.
Exactly. And I think that's awesome. And that's something, harder to do than said.
Yeah, harder to live with than to, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about friendship. I know that's the theme of this book. So the spirit of Sadie and Ethan's friendship, how does that help her throughout this book?
The spirit of their friendship. Well, I think in this story, Ren is somebody that Sadie has always been able to count on.
Yeah.
So that friendship it just means the world to both of them. And I know from personal experience, well, what would it be? Like, not me, but like my best friend. Her husband, they kind of the same thing. Like, they were friends for a really long time, and his feelings changed, but hers hadn't. And so it was interesting. So I did think about that as I was writing this. Like, I've seen it happen when a friendship like goes from friends to one of them liking the other one, and it was a challenge. It was fun. It was, and you had to, like, he kind of had to decide if it was worth taking that chance. And so in the end, they're happily married and have been married for 28 years now. So it worked out great
because
for
it was
them.
based on friendship.
Awesome.
Yes. They are really good friends.
And I know that Ren and Sadie are very good friends, but Sadie's also friends with Ethan. And how does that play in? I mean, does Ren get jealous?
Yes.
There has to be
there's
some
gotta be some jealousy.
Yeah. So Ethan's relationship with Sadie is new. It's exciting. He's the new guy in town. But I think that, so we're getting Arthur's perspective and Ren's perspective. We're not getting Sadie's. Right. I mean, we see her, but I think if we were to ask Sadie how she feels about Ethan, and it comes up in her actions and some of the things that we find out about her, that she likes Ethan and she can see that he's a good guy, and it makes sense in a lot of ways.
Right.
But her connection to Ren is so deep, and she recognizes that.
It's much deeper than with Ethan. Yeah. And that's awesome. And who fell in love with the other first? Was it Sadie or Ren?
Oh,
in their relationship.
Never thought about that, because Ren is the one that admits it.
So he's the first to admit.
Yeah.
But they were both in love.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe so. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, because I think Sadie knows, but I don't think she's admitted it.
Right.
Ren's definitely the first one to admit it.
She's probably like, no, we're just friends.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And I mean, let's talk about what friendship means to you as an author writing about it. And
okay. Well, friendship is huge to me, because one of my things is I have a hard time, like, once you're my friend, I pretty much plan on you being my friend for the rest of my life.
Right.
And sometimes that hasn't always happened. But now that I'm older, I think maybe it's not necessarily that we're not friends. It's that situations have changed, and friendships can kind of be complete.
It's true.
And I love that. Like, that has really helped me in my life. I still have the same best friends since 3rd grade. So when she says they stick around, they stick around. And I have my friends from high school. We are still very close, and all of our spouses are really good friends. We all married people who get along and are kind of friends outside of our friendship. So we go on couple trips and we do things.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so friends have always been a huge part of my life. And when people say, like, to teenagers, oh, your friends don't matter, your family, don't worry about that. I have always felt opposite.
Yeah.
Like, my friends have been a huge part of my life, and I hope will always be. I try to be a good friend. That's something that I feel strongly about. I think that's like with Ren and Sadie. They're both really good friends to each other.
Yeah.
So friendship is huge in my life. So I was able to draw on that to write these books. But
cool.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And, and it's like the give what you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back, and if you're a good friend, then you
Yeah.
expect others to be a good friend to you.
Yes.
And, and sometimes that doesn't happen. Like you said,
Yeah.
friendships sometimes don't last forever.
Yeah. They're just complete. Like,
the person came into your life and you guys both got what you needed out of that friendship at the time, and then it kind of like fizzles back. It's like you have paths that you're on, and sometimes they cross, sometimes they're running parallel and you're friends forever, and sometimes they cross, or sometimes just interact for a little while and then that person moves on. But it doesn't make the contribution into your life any less because it was short.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you were to see that person again, you would still love and remember. It's like, I think about coworkers. So when I was first married and I worked in an office, and all of my coworkers came to my wedding.
Yeah.
I have not talked to a few of them for years, and I was just thinking about them the other day and thought, I wonder what they're up to.
Yeah.
But they were someone at a time who were so close to me that they came to my wedding.
Right.
But now I haven't seen them in how many years. So it's that, like, that friendship kind of came to a close in that it was complete. I don't, we have different paths, like you said, and it's not that I don't think back on that. And like, their friendship benefited my life, gave me something at that time in my life. So,
well, and you hope that you did the same for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's awesome. And I wanted to ask Lucy the same thing. We're talking about friendships today. What do friendships mean to you in your life?
Friendships for me are, they're such a blessing, actually, I have to say. I have one friend that we joke that we have to stay friends because we know each other's ugly. Like, we know all the ugly on each other. And so if you're not my friend, then I don't know what you are, because we have to stay friends. But and so that's the kind of friendship that, though, is rare, because it's not often that you have to walk through the valley of shadow of death with someone in that friendship. So for me, I have a few close people that have done that with me and that I've been there for them. And then a lot of good friends that I would consider just really good friends. It's through the writing world. I've made a lot of friends that I don't get to see, sometimes not for a couple of years. They live in other states, and we end up coming together for things or meeting at conferences and whatnot. And it's just glorious to have all of these wonderful people out there in the world that are so incredibly talented and so amazing, and you can just pick up where you left off.
Right.
Like, that to me is a friend. If I see you, there's no awkward, like, oh, hey, you know, and you can just jump in and be like, how's so-and-so, how's your kids, how's this, how's that, catch me up, and then you're all caught up and you're ready to go, and then you just go. So I have so many friends that are like that, just kind of spread out through America, and it's a lot of fun. So I like to make friends wherever I go. I talk to people wherever I go. My poor kids are like, please don't talk to any more people. In fact, I talked to so many people one time at Disneyland that my poor nephew, who has, I didn't know at the time, but he has some social anxieties, threw up because I stressed him out so much. So
it's like, why are you talking to so many people?
I really messed with him, apparently, just by being friendly. So, I'll talk to anybody. So it's just fun. I like meeting new people.
Yes, you do.
I do.
I've been to Disneyland with you. Or Disney World. I know. She talks to everyone.
I do.
Like, we were at the Star Wars ride.
Oh, gosh.
And what is that called? The Experience or something?
Yeah.
It's the one where you walk in and then there's the stormtroopers everywhere. And they're in character, right?
Yeah.
So they're supposed to be what is...
The Empire, bad guys. Yeah.
So they're bad guys. They've got this stern look on their face, and they're, and he's in character, and he's trying to get our little group of authors. So if you can imagine, we're a little crazy. But Lucy is just after this guy to try to get him to crack.
Well, I wanted him to take a picture with us too, and he was refusing. So I'm like, oh, heck to the no.
Like, you
So
have to
she
get a
was
picture.
after him and just talking to him, and like the people around us are like,
What is wrong with this lady?
But yeah,
So funny.
He did end up taking a picture
He did,
with us,
yes.
though. We had a great time with
you
him.
wore him down.
I did. I wore down the bad guy.
Yeah.
See, now doesn't that make y'all feel good? Like,
Exactly. If you can make friends that well, I believe
Yes.
that you can make friends anywhere.
It's her superpower.
it is my superpower.
That's
to talk to
awesome.
anybody.
So, I mean, and you're just being vulnerable, and
Yeah.
that's how you make friends, that's how you get that connection. You have to
Yeah.
break down your walls, and then you're there. And, I kind of want to talk about that with Ren and Sadie. I know Ren was being so vulnerable when he told her he liked her, because that's scary. That's a lot of weight.
Yes.
And so let's talk a little bit about the vulnerability of this book and how that kind of played in, because that's very important with friendships, I think.
Right. So writing this from the male's POV was a little bit different for me. For one, I don't know if you know this, but men and women don't think the same.
Right.
Turns out my husband's told me that a few times, where I will go on and on and on and examine a feeling, do all this stuff. So that was a little bit of a challenge for me, was making Ren vulnerable, but he's also
In
very
a masculine
masculine.
way.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a challenge for me, was maybe reining in some of my the emotions and the feelings, because at least my experience with my relationships, I tend to overthink and analyze all of the feelings, where my husband doesn't. And so that's what I was trying to be true to Ren, as far as like making him vulnerable, in that he ends up putting his heart on the line for Sadie and does risk it.
And that's very sweet. That's hard to do.
Yeah, but I wanted him to still be the tough good guy, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a challenge, but I think everyone will love Ren. He's just a good guy. He's just a small town good guy and easy to love, and then you're cheering for him. And Arthur is there for him, and they develop a cute relationship too. So it's good.
Yeah, that's sweet. And it sounds like that's how much he cares for Sadie.
Yeah.
So perfect. And I mean, it sounds like a great book.
Well,
it's perfect coming after Tyler.
I kind of think it is, but yeah.
Unbiased opinions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's kind of move the conversation over, and let's talk a little bit to remind our readers that you can find book 2 on our website. It's on their website. It's www.angelinstitutebooks.com, and you can find all the books there and follow along as well. And who would not want to read Ren after our conversation? I mean, it sounds like just an amazing book.
It
and
is.
Such a feel-good friendships.
It's fun. You'll love Arthur and his journey and his plant-based mind. Plant-based. Yeah. And Ren and Sadie, they're just good small-town characters with
big hearts,
sweet romance, and
and
really
Ren
good.
Falls sounds amazing.
Oh, I know. I could go spend some
Just
time
like, can
there.
we go there
I
for
love it.
Christmas?
Well, I know, and I love that. I mean, that it's an angel story about friendship, because how many times in your own life has a friend of yours been an angel during a time of need? And so, if you're listening and you have a friend and you have a feeling like, hey, I should drop them a card, or I should call them, or I should, have a meal sent over tonight, or whatever it is that you're thinking, that just pops in, don't hesitate to follow that inspiration and that prompting, because you never know what they're going through, even though they're your friends. If you have that feeling, then you can be the angel in their life that they need that day. And so, and I think as friends, we are very easy conduits for God to express his love for somebody. And so when we follow through with that, it's just an expression of God's love for them. So,
and that's so beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, my friends and I have talked a lot about having been friends for so long, there has been a lot of events transpire in everyone's lives. And we've talked about there's been many times when we don't know what to say, but we show up.
Yeah.
We just show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times we'll be prompted to know what to offer that friend. But it's just showing up and being there in that moment means so much.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the books, that's what happens with Ren and Sadie. So
yeah.
Exactly. So that's awesome. And I know we've gotten a few angel stories in on our email.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
So
beautiful stories.
And, they'll be coming up as well. We're saving a few for other episodes. But let's just talk about some of our friendships along with guardian angels. And I feel like a lot of friends are so sweet and they show up. And, that's an angel in your life. Someone showing up when you're at your worst possible place or even at your best.
Yeah.
But, it means so much more when you're struggling and you still have friends that can show up. And I don't know, before we get into other angel stories, I want to ask you two, do you have a specific, friend or friendship that has been, there for you and a guardian angel in your life?
Yes. And in fact, I will actually share. So when I was in high school, junior year, I think, I had a new group of friends that I was hanging out with. Yeah. And the one girl tried out for the soccer team and she made the soccer team. And I had this thought, I should send her balloons or take her balloons. And then I was like, no, she'll think you're stupid. She's like, this is the dumbest thing. Who shows up with balloons? And I totally talked myself out of it. And then I found out later that though she had made the team, had a really rough day. And I thought, I should have done that. And I was like, I will never not do that again. Fast forward 2 weeks, I get that same feeling. You should take this person balloons because she had her wisdom teeth out. Different girl, but same idea. Take her something because she had her wisdom teeth out. And so I was like, okay, I promised I would do it. So, and as embarrassed as I was to be vulnerable and put myself out there with a new friend, when I showed up and brought her the balloons, she was so touched because she had been out of school for a couple days and felt like nobody even cared. And this was before cell phones. That's how old I am. So we couldn't just call or text and check in with her or anything. It was like you either go or there's no other way to contact her. So anyway, I watched her and the joy that she had felt in that moment. And I thought, again, it just solidified that I'm never going to not follow that. If there's a good thing I can do for somebody that I think of, I'm going to do it rather than talk myself out of it. But it took seeing both sides. Seeing the disappointment of not doing it and seeing the joy of doing it before it became cemented in there. And so there are some days when I get those feelings. And in fact, I had one the other night to make cookies for one of my son's friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I told my family I'm going to make cookies. And I was like, hey, what kind of chocolate chips do you want in yours? And I'm making them custom for each kid. They get 3. And then I was doing the batch for this, my son's friend. Well, so I get done and I put the plate of the ones for my family on the table and I'm like, hey, I just need to grab a plate and I'll go run them over. Do you want to go with me? And my son's eating them and he goes, oh, he's out of town. And
he's in Minnesota.
And I was like, you stinker. But apparently my family needed cookies that night. And so they got their, individually made cookies and were able to enjoy them. But so it turned out it wasn't a waste, but I just thought that was hilarious that I had that feeling for his friend and he was in Minnesota. And but I did it. So
it's funny you touch on that after the first story, not giving balloons to the first girl because maybe the other girl needed balloons more, and needs to feel cared about. Yeah. Maybe that could be the same thing with the cookies. You know, you never know if somebody else needed that.
Somebody else needed the cookies. Yeah. So, well, apparently they all really liked the cookies. So.
And maybe he didn't tell you that, so he would get more
cookies. He would get more cookies, yeah.
Erica, do you have any experiences? I know you touched a little bit about your friends all being there for you, but I didn't know if you had a personal.
Well, I was just thinking about whether there was a time where I was trying to be a good friend or I've had friendship given to me. One thing, so at this stage in my life, unfortunately, we've had a couple of our friends have had their parents pass. And which is not a fun place to be.
No.
Like I was like, I don't like this part. Anyway, so on one side of it where I received friendship was my husband's dad passed away. It's going on 4 years now. Kind of out of the blue, just sudden, and we weren't expecting to lose him. And it was devastating. And like the next day, there was a knock on my door, and it was my best friend, and she brought this great big beautiful picture of the Savior, and then there was a card, and in the card it was all of my friends' names and their spouses. So they had went in on a gift, and it hangs in my home. And so I just felt so much love. My husband and I felt so much love from them. And every time we look at that picture, we see that. And unfortunately, just not very long ago, one of my good friends, her mom suddenly passed. And it was the same thing. Like, we came together as friends and said, what can we do? First of all, we went over and we showed up and we hugged her and cried with her. And then everyone said, here, I'm sending money. And we went in on a gift for them. Just the same thing, like just those little acts of kindness, just a gift that just says, hey, I'm thinking of you. We know you're going through this. That's just meant a lot to me in my life. And so, I'm just trying to give it back and be so happy that I know I have friends that I can count on. A little quick one was when my oldest son was getting married. I met with my daughter-in-law's mom, her parents, and we were planning the wedding. And we were talking about who was going to help in the kitchen. And I said, I've got friends. I don't even need to ask them. Like, I know that they're going to be there. Of course I did ask them. But it was so nice the night of the wedding. I don't have to worry about anything in the kitchen because they've got it. I know. And we've done the same for each other. Like, if you need me for this, I'm there.
Exactly.
It's so, friends are just amazing. Beautiful guardian angels, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, even if you don't know what to say, some of your friends may have not lost a parent, but they still are like, we need to be there for you, and that's so important. Me and my husband had a miscarriage a little while ago. It's been really hard, and I have friends who aren't married, they don't have any kids, and, it's just very, because, like, you feel really alone when you lose someone, and so, I'm emotional about this, but, friends are so important to me as well, and you feel so alone, like, and, you can tell sometimes you can tell who has been through miscarriage and who hasn't because they really know what to say. But my friends obviously have never experienced that. And, I didn't want visitors for a while. Like, I was on bed rest for a while. And, I just remember my husband bringing in this, like, big basket. And there was, like, a blanket in there. There was snacks. And there was, like, the nicest card. And I just remember that is just so important, and touching on, like, friends showing up for you and things. I think it's very important because you never know, you don't know the pain someone's going through. You're like, what do I say? What do I do? Sometimes you almost want to avoid the person if you don't know, you don't want it to be awkward and you don't want to say the wrong thing. But I think you don't need to say anything, just showing up for someone. I'm there. I'm here for you. I am your friend. I'm always here for you. And I think that is so important. And it sounds like, a lot of people in their angel stories say the same thing. Somebody was there for me.
Yeah, right.
It didn't matter what they said. Somebody was there. And that's so important.
And it's the being willing to sit in your sadness with you that makes a good friend.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be there when it's happy times.
Yeah.
But when you will sit with somebody when they're sad and just help carry that, that's an amazing friend.
And most of the time you can't fix it.
Nope.
It's not something that can be fixed. It's just being there. It's just feeling the love. And that is what heals.
Yeah.
Because I know all of us wish we could fix for our
Oh,
family
gosh,
and friends
yeah.
everything, but we can't. So
Yeah.
what can we do? We can be there.
Yeah, and it's like that old, I always think of that old country song, find out who your friends are. It's like you really know who your true friends are because they're there in the hard times.
Yes.
You know, those good times are all good and great, but they, you know, the hard times matter the most. And I think that's so important. And, you know, you have the feelings to help someone.
Yeah. Well, and I think guardian angels show up at the hard times. Like,
Yeah.
I think they specialize in the hard times. Let me rephrase that. It's not just that they show up. They're there all the time. But they specialize in those hard times for humans. And so for us humans who are going through. So, yeah.
Well, and it's like, you know, Arthur, you can't do anything for that person. Like, you're like, Sadie, you need to fall in love with Red, but you can't help it if she does or not. And same with bad things. You want to fix things and just be like, let me take it all away, but you can't. And that's so important with friends that you're just there. Even though you can't take it away, you're just there.
Yep.
And so I think that's awesome. And I know Lucy was going through some of our angel stories. Is there one specifically that you'd like to share that one of our listeners has sent in?
Well, I would. I've emailed and asked permission to share them on the podcast. So I'm actually waiting for their permission so that I'm not sharing something that's personal. So hopefully by next week's episode, I will have some of those ready for you.
Yeah, and we can pull some of those in. And, you know, even though our next episode is on harmony, then we can bring some of those angel stories in as well. And, you know, if there's any angel stories, whether it's friendship or not that you have, you can submit them. Our email to submit them is angelinstitutestories@gmail.com. And even if you're not comfortable sharing on our podcast, or even if you are and would like to touch somebody else's life, we would love to hear those because they inspire us. And especially as we have these angel books and guardian angels, those stories are so important to us. And we'd love to share.
And you
for
can
you to share.
You can find us on social media to get those links as well.
Yeah.
And then our newsletters through Lucy McConnell and Erica Penrod newsletters, we provide those links as well. So if you want to submit, we would love
There's
to
lots
hear
of
from you.
ways to get a hold of us.
You can find us, for sure.
Yeah. And let me just remind everyone what our social media is. It's Angels Unscripted Podcast. We're on Instagram and TikTok, and you can also find Lucy and Erica as well under author Lucy McConnell. Or it's actually Lucy McConnell Books.
That's right.
Is her handle. And then Erica's is author Erica Penrod. And you can DM us. We'd love to hear from our listeners. So let's just close there. I think that's a good spot to close. And, you know, I just want to turn the time back to Erica. Just tell us how excited you are to share this book with us.
It's like live.
So exciting.
It's live. The book is live. That's amazing.
This week is official release week for Angel Institute Books.
Yep.
And so it's super...
Released today.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. But it won't release. It'll be released.
By the time this airs.
Yes, by the time this airs, they'll all be released.
This week is Ren's release.
Yes.
Ren goes live this week.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm just so excited about the whole experience with Angel Institute. It's so fun to say, okay, Ren is out this week. And if you want to talk about Ren, when I read a book that I love, I like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I am in book club, but I also like to talk about it with everybody. And this, I think this is just a fun way to have these books come out each week and then get to talk about it. And then you as a reader get that inside information. And it just makes you feel closer to the book. And I think enjoy the story more.
Yeah. It definitely adds layers of frosting.
Yeah.
Delicious frosting.
So it's a good week. It is
I
Angel
know, it's
Institute.
fun. It's so fun.
We're excited.
I've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah. It's been a big push.
So it's here, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird too because it's like
We've
been
for so
so
long
focused
it was
on
like
getting that
books,
out.
books,
Yeah.
writing, and now that we get to talk about them with other people because it's been kind of on a lockdown quiet thing for a while too, so we haven't been able to share very much of anything except for with each other, and then we drive people nuts when we're like and they're looking at us like, what are you talking about, guardian angels? We're like, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So
well,
it's been
and
a lot of
if
fun.
you want to purchase the bundle, we are having an ebook sale right now. They're over 40% off, so that we can share with you guys. I know a lot of you have been saying, we want to follow along. Where can we find your books?
Yes.
Well, now you know where to find them. The bundle's on sale, so you can follow along every single week.
The bundle has all 8 books.
Yes.
So you get the bundle and you are ready to read and keep up with us with the podcast.
Yeah.
Nobody's business. So, yeah.
And of course, we're always talking about our books. We're always talking about your angel stories and just uplifting things in life. You know, it's very important to us, and hopefully it's very important to you. So thank you for sharing. Next week, as I mentioned, we'll be discussing harmony. So
harmony with our fellow man.
Yes.
Like, it's one of those, like, goodwill towards men at Christmas kind of things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which is just what we need
Yes.
in this season as we're going into the holidays. So don't miss out on that. And as always,
See you next Monday!